Today on What Went Wrong, when something bugs the out of you so much, you gotta make a feature film about it. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I made over 40 feature films. And in past episodes, I've told people not to bring politics into their films. Of course, there's exceptions to every rule, and I broke that rule on one very particular film called Green Conspiracy, which was really my anti-environmentalism movie. Which one of my proudest moments of, I guess, what they call trolling now, is after that film was made. I sent that film to every environmental film festival that I could find, every green film festival, especially the free ones. If they had a free one, and I sent it because I loved knowing that there were these environmental nut jobs having to watch this movie.
Maybe booing all the way through it, but who cares?
But I don't care. The way that they had to sit there and listen to facts and all these other arguments and see the world that they want to bring about and want to force upon us. Now, I'm not what you would call a climate change denier. Climate changes all the time. Yes. The world is always changing. We, as the human race, evolve and adapt to those changes. My favorite, and there's argument after argument after argument. Like Obama just bought oceanfront property. If he thinks that the ocean's rising and is going to swallow up half of America, why is he buying oceanfront property?
He wants that deep sea habitat.
Yeah. So we're not going to get very political on this. On this, we're just going to talk about some of the politics that were involved in it, and those decisions, as well as what went wrong on our film Green Conspiracy. Now, Ponders Productions is sort of a blur to me. I can remember specific movies, but the ordering maybe sometimes falls out of place. Like I couldn't remember whether After the Day was 07 or 06. And
6.
This is one of those things that you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Green Conspiracy was after Sierra Rabbit 3. After Sierra Rabbit 3, it was a couple months later that we did, because and this is one of those serendipitous moments, was you brought in Amy Jordan to play the gratuitous topless chick, and on that set, while we were filming there,
yes, I remember that night,
it jumped into my head, this is my Isabella Montoya.
You pulled me aside and said that.
And I think even in that, as she was leaving, or as she was in her car, I said, "Look, there's this character. I'm going to send you some stuff. I think you are perfect for this." And then we wound up being able to bring her into Green Conspiracy as Isabella Montoya. Now, Isabella Montoya is one of my favorite characters, and it's one of my favorite mythoses of the Ponders universe, is that Night Watchman universe, and that came from the film The Night Watchman. Where Rich McDonald and Cindy Saavedra were the Walter Baker and Isabella Montoya characters, who were detectives in the future, basically.
Right.
And that was done in 2001, 2002. Rich went to Hollywood. I think Cindy did too. So they were no longer available to play those roles, and I wanted to revisit those characters. I wanted to revisit that universe. And I wasn't ready to find a Walter Baker yet, but I wanted to put Isabella in a movie. So we created her backstory and where she came from and how she left the corporate states and came into Texas. And we created the Green Conspiracy. It was originally just called Green.
Right. Originally it was just Green.
Now we've renamed it to Green Conspiracy. And it was this was 2009? Yeah, because 2007,
yes,
2008
it was 9.
was Innocent Saga. So 2009, and in the environmentalism and socialism moving into it and all that was just grating at me. And I said, you've got to look at the numbers. You've got to, if we give you complete control, let me show you what's going to happen.
You have exceeded your monthly allotted electric use. Your next power ration begins in 6 days.
And we created the green lottery, which was because that was right when we were this big CO2 thing,
Right.
and I was like, well, we're polluting because we're spitting out CO2 and everything, and when people talk about the cows and methane gas and all this, and basically that's what no one will say in the green world,
Right.
is that this is what they want. They want to eliminate people. Period. End of story. But they can't say that.
Except for the ones they choose.
Yeah, exactly. So there are little things about the rationing of electricity and little nods here and there. And one of my favorite moments in the Ponder's universe of creepiness and messaging. I drop in little messages and little political ideas here and there throughout films. And I did that in this one, and it was in the very beginning with Adolf.
Right.
And that interview where the senator brings out the kid, and the kid has been so brainwashed.
My only hope is that I will be able to make the same sacrifice for my children.
I remember after we had that screening, there were several people that came up to me and said, thank you. I feel so alone because I can't say this stuff, and here it is saying what they couldn't stand up and speak up, and I was able to in that film.
What about the government? Do you trust them?
I don't trust anyone who knows more than I do.
That's why he doesn't trust anyone.
Now, why I would say that this can go against what we've said before about no politics in your films, you want to keep your politics out of films. I go into my films knowing what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to be a Hollywood filmmaker. I'm not trying to be a big budget filmmaker. And look at War Dogs. War Dogs was always laced with politics.
You, California. You and you, and go right ahead and become part of China. You commies.
That's who I am. That's what that's what I do. And this was one of those things, especially when it comes to sci-fi. This is where you investigate these kind of things. Some of the best movies, the best sci-fi films that I've enjoyed are films like Soylent Green or Gattaca, which point out the dangers of certain things.
Right, of what you're doing.
And I'm just doing what those have done before
Right.
me. It just happens to be against what the media and the left wants.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like I'm trying to be the martyr and try to. It's just sometimes there's something that you really want to voice out. And the thing that I will say about Green Conspiracy is that it wasn't just about the politics in it.
No.
The politics drove the story, yes, but it was those characters. And what was so interesting and so fun about that movie was Kazu and Amy in those roles.
Right.
And their interaction and those characters and the arc that Amy's character Isabella has to go on. And that being that here she is, a green agent, one of the people that actually assassinates people in the Green Lottery.
Right.
And she believes in it, and she has to change, and
Right.
she has the truth revealed to her. That's what's interesting about characters. Characters need to change and evolve, and she did that in that film, and that's what made that so interesting, as well as the fun fights and the character of Glass
Yes.
and Dawson. There were just so many great characters in
Right.
that film. And they all had opposing viewpoints. And even when it came to characters like, Sergio, I'm going to let you rant about his accent here.
Oh,
That's-
God,
that
no,
would
not the
definitely
southern accent.
That's definitely one of what went
Woo,
wrong.
yeah, that definitely did go wrong.
So I'm here to deliver wonderful and glorious news. The days of the Green Agents are coming to a close.
That went so wrong.
But they all proposed, they all had their ideologies, and they were presented
Right.
as this is why they believe. And in many ways, you could look at Sergio's character and understand his point of view. He had a point of view. He wasn't just a bad guy.
Right.
He had bad motives, but he was,
Bad motives, bad accent.
yeah. And then there was a very small, minor character that Ernest played that had such a great, meaningful thing that went against all of them. He was that loner. He was that guy who's in it for himself. And at the very end, he makes a decision that swaps things around, but is still true to who he was. Green Conspiracy, I would say, is one of the most character-driven movies that I've made, that really delved into, because even though it was political, and in some moments it was kind of preachy, it was preachy on both sides.
Right.
You were watching a debate in that film through action, fights, and character development.
Amy's big panic over the broken light bulb when she's with David Jordan in their scene in his office. That's a standout right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Let me clean this up for you. Okay, it's toxic. We need to clear the room.
Relax. There's no mercury in those old things. The most damage you can do with one of them is to get a cut on your big toe.
And it was quick. It was just told through 2 or 3 lines of dialogue. You got your point across, and we moved on.
And he got his point across.
Yeah. And
we need more senators like him.
I know. That's why I see Dan Crenshaw as the Senator Colby, someday. Yeah.
Mason was an idiot. He thought politics was about protecting people from themselves, keeping them safe at any cost.
Well, isn't it?
No, it's about representing the people. If the people want to kill themselves off, then damn it, they have a right to kill themselves off. Can I offer you a cigar?
But let's talk about a couple people that we lost through since Green. We've lost Crash, who would still be working with us to this day.
Oh yes.
When he became Senator Colby, because he was the old man Charlie in Sierra Rabbit 3.
Right.
Once he became Colby, that was his ponderous character.
Yeah.
We lost him several years ago, and then just a few years ago we lost Kazu. Kazu and I were talking about doing another film. I mean, he looked great last time I saw him. He full of energy, full of life, and he was going to Japan for some more treatments, and then he was gone, and it was heartbreaking. But he was one of the reasons that we made Green Conspiracy to begin with. After he was with us in Innocent Saga,
right,
we wanted to do a film with him, and he really wanted to do something with us. So we made Green Conspiracy with him in that mentor Kenji role, and I guess the one thing that I wish I would have spent a little more time on was the enunciation. English wasn't his first language.
Right.
He was a great actor, but he still had some of those troubles with some of the language and the pronunciation of words. I wish I'd have taken a little bit more time to have him work out the clarity of those words that he was saying.
He fought not for air for you to breathe, but for your freedom.
And then we handed it over him for the fight scenes. He and Will Scoville, both fighters to begin with, so
right,
being able to do some great stuff. And then when we brought Christina in to play one of the beta hunters, she had a fighting background, so she was able to do some great fight scenes with Kazu. The tough stuff was when you brought in actors who didn't have fighting backgrounds,
right,
and then had to have them fight. And that's throughout the history of Ponderous films.
I don't know who the hell you are or what agency you're with, but I can guess. And I'll tell you something. It doesn't scare me.
It should.
Why it didn't take off? I think it goes back to the whole, just the generality of being a low budget filmmaker, not having a budget.
Right.
I think that there are a lot of conservative commentators, conservative talk show hosts, and things like that if they watch this film would love it. But I can't afford to have them to sponsor them or anything like that.
Right.
It's just a case of that marketing budget not being able to reach all those people and say, hey, here's a film that you would be interested in, because I think a lot of people would love it.
Going back on your theme idea thing, where do you rate that as an idea? The theme was great. Where do you rate it as an idea personally?
As an idea, that's a very good question, because I would, in looking back as Ponders Productions as a learning experience.
Right.
Throughout the Innocent Saga, I was really learning and understanding and really devoting a lot to the hero's journey and really understanding that aspect of writing. Green Conspiracy was really where I learned to concentrate on character arcs and growth, which is really where I focused. I allowed the characters in the Innocent Saga to grow through the hero's journey and to just take those steps. In Green Conspiracy is where I grew as a writer in looking at arcs and looking at how the characters' ideas grow and evolve, as opposed to just becoming the hero. Every character needs to start, the protagonist particularly. Protagonist needs to start with a lie that they believe. And they have to have that lie challenged and understand at the end of the movie that they have to discover the truth. And then that's what they have to do, is decide whether to believe the truth or reject the truth. And that's where I learned about a character arc. So to answer your question, to me, Green Conspiracy was more about me learning as a filmmaker that aspect of character growth.
Okay.
And starting to really understand and appreciate arcs, because if you look at my films, you'll see that they're character driven, yes, but that the Green Conspiracy was when my films started to evolve into the character growth began to evolve, and the theme of the movie was simply that lie. The politics of that movie was that lie or that truth that the character had to understand. So would I say I broke my own rule? Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, Green Conspiracy was definitely more politically motivated than anything. But when you hold it side by side to analyze that growth that I had as a writer I needed something strong enough that I need to feel, present something that I felt strongly enough to help me understand and make those characters grow in a way. If I'd have just had some basic little theme, or psychopaths kill people for no reason, that's what I'm gonna my theme on. It's like, yeah, well, that makes sense, blah blah blah. It's hard. It wouldn't have been the same movie because it was harder for me to get personally involved with the characters, and the way I believe things and the way that I come to conclusions is that I have to weigh things, weigh both sides of it, listen to both arguments, and that's why it was important for me to do that with Isabella. The theme of the movie, I don't think the theme itself was anti-environmentalism or environmentalism. I don't think that was the theme. I think the theme of the movie was government control and giving your freedom away for safety.
Right.
And I think that's what the theme of the movie was. That it wasn't about environmentalism. That was the theme. And I think that's a very valuable theme to delve into. And I don't think you can delve into that theme without getting political.
No.
So
you've got to get political with it. But this is a film that you feel you finally hit your stride, as in growing with your character development and arts.
Yeah.
Arcs,
yes.
Not arts.
Yeah. It was now about becoming. That was, I think, really where it was now. Okay, it's time to become a filmmaker. And that's when I started paying attention to all those fine details. And I think if you look back at my films, that was a big turning point.
Yes.
Because Green Conspiracy, Bass Reeves, Vosot, Blow a Kiss, Syrup 5, The Project. I think if you were to actually put our films on a timeline, you would see Green Conspiracy as that turning point.
Right.
Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I wrote the book on how to make a movie with no money. And here it is.
Yeah, see, it's got pictures and everything. So head on over to our website, notsosane.com, and get your digital or paperback copy today.